Hey guys, it's Dan, your host of Dan's Reviews, and today I'm back for another Walking Dead video for today. This one is going to be doing our weekly Saturday Spotlight video for this week. This video was, of course, suggested by Epic Zombie Killer. So, of course, this week's shout out for the character Spotlight videos is going to go out to Epic Zombie Killer. He suggested that I would do a Carl Grimes character Spotlight video. So, let's get into that. Let's talk about it. But before I do, I just want to say a huge spoiler warning for the Walking Dead television series, of course, also because of the character that we're focusing on here. So, definitely, and if you're caught up to the series, you definitely know what I mean. So, yeah, spoiler warning if you have not seen The Walking Dead Season 9, Episode 16 finale, up to current date, basically. So, yeah, really, really cool stuff. So, I'm super excited to get into this one, because Carl is a character that, honestly, I should have done a character spotlight video on Carl. I'm really surprised that I haven't. I just haven't gotten a suggestion yet. So, yeah, this week, shout out to Epic Zombie Killer. Go subscribe to Epic Zombie Killer. He does Walking Dead content, movie reviews, and tons of other stuff as well. So go subscribe and go check out the channel Epic Zombie Killer. So yeah, really, really cool stuff. So and yes, I did get a brand new Fear poster for the reviews too. I want to kind of mention that as well. So yeah, anyway, so let's get started with the Carl character spotlight. So I really, I think for Carl's character, Carl is probably the one character they should have kept around longer. They really killed off Carl at, like, the worst time, I feel like literally, like, the worst time, and I still feel like that actually might be the reason why they decided, okay, maybe Scott Gimple shouldn't be the showrunner anymore, why don't you just step aside a little, because, honestly, that was such a dumb decision, and I'm gonna go into that a little bit in this video. So, we start off Season 1, of course, and he's the little kid that, we don't see much of him at first, but I really like how, him and Shane kind of have, a little, not a father-son type of, a relationship, but when they think Rick's dead at the time, they kind of do have that, and then, you have, like, they're catching frogs and stuff, so, yeah, that's pretty cool. Well, they almost do, at least. So yeah, that's cool. And I like that whole scene too, and he's like, go get him, and all that kind of stuff, right? So Rick, of course, gets back, and then everything changes. Lori doesn't want Carl around, Shane. She wants Shane to stay away from him, and, which, of course, it's Lori, of course. And, basically Carl is, just, part of the group, not much really with him in the first season aside from that. But, of course, in the second season, once they, get near the farm, he gets shot by Otis. So then, of course, they have to, they go to the farm, of course, that's kind of what gets them there, too, right? And Dr. Herschel, he'll help your boy, get him there, it's not far now. And then, of course, they get to the farm, and Herschel is actually, he's pretty close to, not saving him until, of course, Shane and Otis go out, and then, of course, Shane has to kill Otis. At least he thinks he had to kill Otis, because he was slowing him down, right? That's how Shane looks at it. And basically, they get the medicine back, and, or not the medicine, but, like, everything they need to save Carl, and Carl is, saved pretty much by Shane. I mean, Otis too, but, Shane is really the person that, saved Carl in the end. So, Carl is gonna be okay, we have, it's just tons of stuff with him in those couple, episodes in Season 2 where, he's, unconscious for the most of it, but, of course, the bullet broke out to 6 pieces, right? So, they need to get all the pieces. I remember, too, when Herschel's like, 1 down, 5 to go, so yeah, I like all that stuff. That was really, really cool. So, we have that, and then, of course, Carl is, back on his feet, like Lori says. He's just back on his feet now, and he wants a gun, right? So, this is when they start to teach Carl how to, get used to carrying around a pistol or a gun or whatever, and Carl basically learns how to shoot a pistol at first, and then, how to, shoot guns and stuff. So, yeah, that's pretty cool. I like, too, how, we get to see that, Shane, he'd be happy to do it, and Rick too, he kind of agrees with it, and I like how he said it's better than him being afraid of them, but Lori's just like, I don't want my kid walking around with a gun, so, you guys know I don't like Lori. Who does, though, really? Like, who likes Lori? I mean, I guess if there's anybody here that likes Lori, no offense to you at all, I'm just saying, she's kind of a ridiculous character at times. So anyway, we have that, of course, and like I said, Carl learns, and then of course we have the whole thing with him and Dale. He didn't shoot that zombie that he saw, so and then what happened to Dale afterwards. So that's pretty much it for Carl at the farm. Then at the prison. So this is when we really get into seeing how tough this kid really is. When they get to the prison, of course, and Rick and the others go with the prisoners and stuff to clear some of the cell blocks, he even goes off to, to try to save Herschel, and he's like, he gets tons of stuff to help, and he's like, no big deal, I killed 2 walkers, and Laurie's like, did you see this? Did you see this? This is with the whole group, and I'm just like, Laurie, shut up. Like, seriously. And then we get to see Carl, save Tyrese's group and, take them back to the cell block. But he doesn't let them in. He only lets them into the one part. But, in their actual cell block, he locks the door and doesn't let them in, of course, for safety reasons. And he does that exactly. So I like that, too. And I like when, Sasha's like, open this door. Open it now. And he's like, Tyrese is like, back away from the door and let the man go, and not kid, man. He's like, wow, this kid's tough, so, and he is, yeah, he really is. But anyway, so we get to see that, of course, and then around the end of season 3, he really, things really change, he shoots this guy from the governor's group, and he really changes a lot. So, I like in the time skip from season 3 to season 4, Rick and Carl both don't have their guns, and they're trying to kind of be more normal and not so dark with everything, and Carl asks for his gun back, and Rick's like, he ignores it at first, but after a few episodes into season 4 with the flu and stuff, he's like, you know what? I'm gonna give you your gun back. I'm gonna have my gun back too, because you know what? This flu that's breaking out in the prison, we need to deal with it, and we need our guns. So I like all that stuff. That was really, really cool. And then, of course, the prison falls. I love the part where the governor shows up too, and Carl and Daryl have the guns out, right? And he's like, I could kill the governor right now. And he's like, yeah, for 50 yards. And he's just like, I'm a good shot. I can end this right now. And then I love when Daryl says, he's like, you're gonna start something else, So Carl doesn't. But of course, the prison falls. Him and Rick are really the only two that they think they're the only two that made it out. And of course, they find the house. Carl is really not, he's really just not happy at all. He's disrespecting his father and, really kind of being a bit of a brat, if I'm being honest, around that time. I mean, it's understandable because, Carl, he lost all his friends at the prison, and really Rick is the only one left, and he's kind of mad at him for all the people that died and stuff. And, we get pretty much his episode, where he's eating pudding, and, he goes out there and kills a good few walkers and stuff in the subdivision and stuff. So, yeah, I like that, especially the part where he's yelling at Rick too. Just, yeah, some really, really great stuff for his character, really just telling him how he really felt and letting all that anger out, So that was pretty cool. So then, of course, they go to Terminus. Of course, they meet up with Michonne again. Really great scene as well with that. And then, of course, they have to go to Terminus because Joe and the others pretty much take over the home while him and Michonne are gone looking for supplies. So, basically, I like that too when they go to the house and stuff, and Carl and Michonne are kind of bonding and stuff. I like that. And, did you have any other kids? And, asking all the questions per room and stuff. So, yeah, I like that as well. That was cool. So, we get to see that, of course, and like I said, they head on to Terminus. I like the candy bar scene too. One of those episodes where I think it was like episode 15 or 14, 15, something around that time, where we see a quick scene with them with the candy bar scene or whatever. So that was also really cool. I like that too. Hey, you said winner's choice, So anyway, we got that, of course, and then in season 5 we get to see him, and I like how Carl is pretty much around season 5 after the Terminus stuff. He's the only one that trusts Gabriel. Like, he's really the only one that knows that Gabriel's really not that bad. Yeah, he kind of locked those people out, but he's not that bad. Carl's really the only one that realized it. Rick was like, oh, he's hiding something, and he was, but Carl is really the one that made Rick realize that there are still good people out here every once in a while, So, yeah, I like that stuff, of course. They head on to Alexandria. They're on the road for a little bit. We have the hospital stuff. Not too much from Carl around that time. I like when he's teaching Gabriel how to use a machete and stuff, and he's like, but you're not holding it right. You got to be able to drive it down, because sometimes the skulls are not as soft. And he's like, I'm sorry. And he's like, I need to lie down, you know? So, yeah, so he you know, and Gabriel does keep the machete, though. I remember, yeah, Gabriel does keep the machete for a little while, so that's pretty cool. So, of course, the church gets overrun, and like I said, after that, there's some slow period of time, you know, throughout Season 5, where I remember there was, like, tons of episodes where Carl just, like, barely was like part of it, but he was there, of course. And then once they get to Alexandria, him and Ron and some of the other kids are kind of you know, hanging out and stuff. We see them at the party and stuff. So yeah, that was cool, of course, and especially just all the stuff with Alexandria, really, really cool. And then, of course, you know, the drama starts with him and Ron. So, of course, you got the zombie herd. They're trying to lead away. You've got the wolves that attack, which Carl actually kills a good few of them at that time, I remember. You know, tries to protect Enid and tries to protect Ron, but Ron's just not having it. So, him and you know, Ron kind of start having you know, a bit of a fight, you know, about Enid, which was such a weak attempt at a fight, to be honest. But anyway, that is not a fight. That is not a fight at all. So anyway, we have that, of course, and you know, Carl is you know, there in No Way Out. We get to see all that stuff go through there, and of course, his eye is shot out by Ron when Michonne kills Ron. So you know, some people debated too, if Michonne didn't kill Ron, you know, Carl wouldn't have gotten shot in the eye. But it's like, yeah, but then he would have pulled the trigger and killed Rick. So honestly, it's actually, in a weird way, it's kind of for the best that she did do that. So, I don't blame Michonne for that at all. Yeah, so, of course, the dad part, and, you know, you see the blood coming down, I'm like, oh my god, you know? Now, I actually did like the comic book version of that better, but, yeah, I mean, you know, the TV series version was fine, because in the comic, like, his hat was, like, part of the hat was, like, blown off, or whatever. It was way worse in the comics, for sure. Half of his, like, face was blown off, like, all this part here was, like, blown off. It was pretty crazy. So, then, of course, we get to see him and the Saviors. We get to see Negan come in. We get all that stuff. Negan really kind of, you know, likes just how tough Carl is, you know. And I like to, you know, him and Enid, their little rollerblade date, I guess you could say. And, of course, he takes off and goes to the sanctuary. So, this episode was really cool. Even though I do think Chandler Riggs was a bit too old for the kind of role that he was trying to play. You know, I like the, you know, the show me first line, you know, and, you know, the stuff with, you know, the wives and stuff. Carl sees the iron, of course, and he really steps up to Negan at one point, you know, and he's like, if you knew anything, you would kill us, but you can't, you know, and he's like, maybe I can, you know, and he's like, well, maybe I can as well, though, you know, so, he decides, basically, after a little while, to take him home. I really like the singing part, too, but, he decides to take him back home, of course, to, Olivia and everybody else back at Alexandria, while Rick and Aaron are out, getting supplies for Negan. And, you know, we get to see that, you know, after a while, Rick's just kind of had it, and they decide to go to war with the Saviors. So, Carl is, of course, included in that. We see him and Enid for a little while there, too. I remember a few scenes between them. And, of course, in the finale, when when Jadis's people turns on them, Carl, of course, is kind of the first one that, you know, pew, pew, you know, and then everybody else kind of follows what Carl did. So, Carl is the one that really actually, you know, was the one that decided to start firing at Jadis's people. So that was really cool as well. So then we have Season 8. So we have Siddiq. Of course, Rick scares him off the first time, and then he gives him supplies the next time. And, of course, he decides to take him back to the community, of course, but they run into some walkers, and then, of course, Carl is bit. Now, it's off-screen at first, but then we see later on that, you know, we see the full scene through. So Carl is bit. You know, he writes the letters, of course, and, you know, he's bit. He has his last moments with everybody, with Michonne, with even Judith, Daryl, and a few of the others as well. And he really saves them, too, in that mid-season finale, too, with the smoke bombs and stuff, and really covering for everybody. You know, kind of trying to slow Negan down by, you know, telling him, you know, was it supposed to be like this way, Negan, you know? And then when the time was right, he just kind of got the heck out of there, right? So, of course, like I said, Carl is bit, Carl dies. Like I said, some really great moments with with all of them. They get him to the church, and he basically, I like to have his dreams of how he views the future. That was really cool, too. And he basically decides to shoot himself at the end of episode 9 of season 8. So they bury him, of course, and that is basically the end of Carl. So yeah, really great, you know, journey for Carl. I mean, gives the hat to Judith, which now, you know, now she's wearing it, and it's like, Yeah, man, Carl is an awesome character. I mean, I know a lot of people think that the comic version of him is better. I can kind of understand that, but I do like this version of Carl too. They are very different, but yeah, I like Carl's character. So, write in the comment section below for next Saturday Spotlight, which one do you want to see for next week's character Spotlight? I will pick the first person in the comments, so comment fast because I'm not sure who will suggest the next one first, but we'll have to see who we do a character spotlight on next weekend. But really, really excited to see what you guys what you guys have to say about Carl, and also which one you guys want to see next weekend. So there's the character spotlight video for Carl. Really like his character all the way through the series, and definitely probably a big mistake for them, and probably a mistake that they'll probably never be able to fix, that they killed off Carl. Maybe the reason why Scott Gimple isn't running the show anymore. You never know. So anyway, write your comments in the comment section below. I'm gonna get out of here. Thank you guys so much for watching this video, and I'll catch you guys tomorrow for a Let's Chit Chat video before Game of Thrones. Peace out.